responsibility to learn who the child is. And I didn't do that. And I'm sorry. And I said, and I'm crying too. I said, are you saying that if I said I was going to quit comedy and go to business school, you wouldn't support that anymore? And he said, absolutely not. He said, that is the only thing in the world that you should be doing. And I was like, oh my gosh. I didn't even realize that I needed that so desperately to hear that. And the only thing that really bums me out is that my mother wasn't there to hear that, to hear him tell me that. This Thanksgiving, I went to Texas, and we actually spent it with Rick's side of the family. And I needed to get away and just be by myself, and I decided to drive to my mother and Rick's house. And when I pulled up into the driveway, I just had a full-on breakdown, just sobbing in the driveway. Because I was like, oh my gosh, my mother is not in that house. And of course I knew that, but it just really hit me in the driveway. And then I walked inside, and the house still smelled like her. And everything was just so quiet. I was just looking around, and still photos that were framed just seemed so still. Just moments in time caught and just gone forever. And all the photos were still just placed where my mother had placed them over the years. And I started opening drawers because I wanted to just see something of my mother. She would write little notes to herself, like, you know, dentist, 2 p.m. tomorrow. And she was an artist. And she would sketch me perfectly on a napkin when I was just sitting around. And so I was just looking for those kinds of things in the drawers, and there wasn't anything in there. And I went to open a closet, and there's nothing there. And I was finding nothing in any drawers or closets, and I just started going around the house, just running around, just trying to find something. And then I was in this panic and just crying even harder. Like Rick had gutted the house out like he had when I was a child with a trash bag. Everything was gone. And I was like, I'm done with this person. I couldn't believe I had fallen for that conversation. And I was so ready to write him off immediately. I was done. And I called him on my cell phone. And he said, hello, Tig, how's it? How are you doing? I said, not good. Not good. All of my mother's things are gone. And so are my childhood things. And he said, oh, hold on a minute. Go into my bedroom. Go into my closet. He started directing me. I was like, yeah. He said, look at the top shelf. And up there, he had placed some of my mother's things and some of my childhood things. And, I opened the box, and she was a dancer too. There were her ballet slippers and photos, and I just was like, you're lucky. And although, before March, when the word parents popped up on my caller ID, it represented my mother and Rick. Now when the word parents pops up on my caller ID, it's only Rick. We have very different cleanup techniques. But I'm learning to get used to that. Good night.
Tig Notaro has become a favorite and regular on NPR's This American Life and on Conan. Her critically acclaimed sophomore album, Live, is out now. Tig is guest starred on such shows as NBC's The Office and Community and HBO's The Life and Times of Tim. Her popular podcast, Professor Blastoff, recently peaked at #1 on the iTunes Comedy Podcast chart. The Moth Mainstage is coming to the Neptune Theater in Seattle on Tuesday, December 3rd. For tickets and for a list of all of our upcoming tour stops, visit themoth.org.
Our podcast host, Dan Kennedy, is a writer and performer living in New York and author of the new novel, American Spirit. Available now.
Thanks to all of you for listening, and we hope you have a story-worthy week. Podcast audio production by Paul Ruest at the Argo Studios in New York. The Moth Podcast and the Radio Hour are presented by PRX, the Public Radio Exchange, helping make public radio more public at prx.org.
A few years back, when Jada's mom took her and her sister out of the Akron, Ohio public schools and put them into the Copley Fairlawn public schools, Jada was just in 3rd grade. But you noticed the difference immediately. This is Jada.
It was weird at first. The teachers were more serious. They really, they buckled down. I just know that it was more educational.
Akron, which you'd been going to school before, is a city of around 200,000, and its school system recently met only 5 of the state's 24 educational goals. Copley Fairlawn is just next door to Akron, has a population of 10th Akrons, and met all 24 of the goals. Even the school building, Jada says, was totally different.
It was huge. The library was so big and had many books, and they had a greenhouse, and they had like a small trail in the back if you wanted to go for a walk during recess. It was amazing. They had a computer lab. Like, it was amazing. It was so much more resources that they had there. And so we did a lot of activities outside in the greenhouse for science.
And what was science like at Akron?
It wasn't as environmental and outside. It was more like in a book. So they would just like say, okay, we're going to go over this chapter and you're going to learn this.
In Akron science class, she says instead of a greenhouse, each kid got a pumpkin seed and a bag.
And they put the pumpkin seed in a plastic bag and it grew over a few months. And so we had plastic bags and shoe boxes.
After 2 years in this nice school, 3rd and 4th grade, Jada was kicked out. Her sister was kicked out. To go to Copley Fairlawn, they'd been giving their grandfather's address as their home address. Their grandfather lived in the school district. Lots of districts, of course, have been cracking down on that kind of thing. Homeowners pay high property taxes to live in a place with good schools. And lots of them feel like it's wrong for anybody to freeload. So the district told Jada and her sister they had to go. Out of Copley Fairlawn, back to the Akron schools.
I was a little devastated because, like, you know,